Hello friends and potential friends. Well, today is, what is it? It's May 20th, 2022, about 11:30 in the morning. The temperature is currently about 86 degrees. They say it's only going to get up to 88, we'll see. But humidity is about 75%, and that's dropping, so it's getting kind of sticky out here. But I figured I better come out and do a little quick spotlight walk around and just zoom in on a few things that I've been keeping an eye on recently. For example, the ginger and turmeric. They're going crazy. Finally got hot enough for them to pop up, and they are exploding. Let's see. Pineapples are still hanging in there. Isn't that guy cute? About the size of a tennis ball. And that one's made it to about softball size. That one should start turning pretty soon. There is something over here that caught my interest. Let's see if I can spot it again. There we are. That, my friends, is a seed pod on a potato plant. You're right, Peanut. They do put out seeds sometimes. And I got the sneaky feeling I've got another experiment coming on. I only see that one so far, but I'm going to be watching closely now. Let's see, sweet potatoes slips are still doing well. I still haven't planted the other slips. Amish paste, kind of a jungle in there. I never did find a way to prop them back up again after the winds knocked them all over. But they are producing tomatoes. If they would just start turning. That one right there is a big one. But there's tomatoes scattered all over in here. They're just all green. They don't seem to want to turn. Meanwhile, I do have a homestead over here that's starting to turn. Another day or so, that one ought to be ready to come off of there. And I want to try to get a little bit closer look at the sweet potato seed pods. If you look closely at those things, you might be able to see that they're kind of segmented. And when they start drying out, they'll start splitting along those seams, and then the seeds will start popping out. In fact, there's one right there that's already drying out. And I see a few more back in there also. So I'm going to have to get out here and collect some seeds pretty soon. It's kind of interesting that most of the seed pods seem to be on this side of the bed, which is the south-facing side. That's the place where the sun hits first in the morning, and that's where most of the seed pods seem to be. There are very few over on the far side. What interests me the most, though, is that there's still a lot of seed pods scattered throughout the center section. And I would think that would not get as much sunlight because all the sides are blocking it. But what can I say? Might be a coincidence, but just seems to be kind of interesting. I see a few more that are starting to dry here and there also. Oh, okra's doing pretty good. Most of those plants are up about a foot. There's a few there in the center that are not doing quite as well, but I'm not going to complain. And over here we got some red marconis, some sweet banana peppers, and my poor pitiful onions. I got a red one there that is not too bad, about the size of a golf ball. And there's a yellow one out there that's a little bit smaller than that. Most of them are not producing bulbs. And I probably should pull most of them out of here before too long. Maybe I can get some more peppers going. The one thing I've been paying a lot of attention to is the Kiddo Corn. This particular ear was the first one that popped out with silks, and I dumped a bunch of pollen on it. And when I squeeze that thing, I can feel the ear inside. It's up about there, maybe 2 inches long at the most, but I can feel kernels on it. So that means if everything goes right, I should have more seeds to plant next year, and I'll be expanding the Kiddo Corn. Another ear trying to form down here, but doesn't feel like it's doing much. And I've got another one over here. A little bit going on in there. And then this big one on the large stalk. This is probably the biggest ear. Feels like it's got kernels all the way out to about here. And it's well above my head, so. But that's taken into account that it's in this raised bed too, so I should get some seeds for planting next year, the Kiddo Corn. Looking forward to that one. And I'll be spreading it out a little bit more next time, and maybe I'll even do some things right. Oh look, a weed, piece of grass. The pink-eyed purple hull peas finally started doing something. And they're kind of interesting because the bean pods actually grow out of the end of the stems. And most of them stick up until they get a little bit bigger, instead of just hanging down. I do have one over here that's probably ready to come off. Looks like it's got beans in there. There's a bunch more of them scattered throughout. Now, the rattlesnake beans, they pretty much stopped producing at all when it got up into the 90s last week. But now that we're back down into the 80s again, they started flowering some more. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, those pink-eyed purple hulls, those are interesting. Something else that's interesting is my Everglades cherry tomatoes. Just a couple days ago, they started popping. They've had little tomatoes all over them, and they all started turning the other day. I had my first ripe one yesterday, and it looks like I'm going to get another ripe one today. See how that just kind of fell off into my fingers? Garden candy. There's a few more down in there that I'm going to be picking too. Now the Bodacious Corn, this is not getting nearly as tall as the Kiddo Corn, but it does have little ears all over it. And there's actually a couple of them. I don't know whether it was some kind of critters got to it or what. Might have just been the wind the other day. But some of these ears are broken open, and you can see they got little corn kernels in them. So I might get some seeds out of these guys too. Oh, I'm tempted to. Yep, I can't resist. There's another one that needs to come off. Most of these don't make it into the house. But right now there's a bunch of them ripening, so maybe I'll get a few of them in the house for later. Let's see, my salad bed pretty much done. I'm going to leave the cabbage collards in there just to see what happens with them. Maybe I'll get lucky and get some seeds out of them. But the rest of the stuff needs to come out of here. Then I guess I'll have more room to plant something else. The patient's garden has been taking a beating lately. I was cutting up some wood the other day, and a branch fell on top of this thing and broke off one of the asparagus spears right there. So of course I had to eat it, couldn't let it go to waste. I hope that doesn't violate my patient, but it was broken due to an accident, and so I ate it, and it was good. And now the garden is trying to tempt me again. That one is easily the size of a pencil, but I'm going to try to resist. That's just a quick look at everything that has been sparking my interest recently. And now I'm kind of dripping a bit, so I'm going to bring this to a close and head back in with the air conditioner. So I'll see you next time.